Apparently, we're not the only country lost in a sea of grays when it comes to terrorism. You're watching Beyond the Trailer's review of Closed Circuit.
Hey mate, you can't park here!
This is the most high-profile murder case in British history.
You and Ms. Howe are defending the accused terrorist from the government.
Within 6 months, our client goes from driving a taxi to driving a brand new Mercedes, spending $2,000 a week. Where did all the money come from?
Defense lawyers who ask the wrong sorts of questions, they're expendable.
Governments are constantly trying to paint the war on terror as black and white, yet the media and entertainment industry, which by the way are getting harder and harder to tell apart, are vigilant in reminding us that is not the case. And while the United States is most often in the spotlight, it can be easy to forget that the UK has its own intimate history with terror. The IRA has been bombing London on and off since the 1860s, and while New York has 9/11, they have 7/7, when the city's public transportation system was targeted, killing 52 civilians and injuring over 700. That has led London to install one of the most extensive, if not the most extensive, closed-circuit monitoring systems in the world. And while some argue that it's an invasion of privacy to be constantly on camera, New York and other cities across the globe are considering similar setups. It's this tinderbox environment that is the backdrop for working title's legal thriller Closed Circuit, which seeks to not only thrust the UK's government into the spotlight, but its legal system as well. Australia's Bana, who has gone from comedy to action with little luck, now looks to see if he can find success in a suit and tie, a la classic movie stars Cary Grant and Gregory Peck. Starring opposite him is Rebecca Hall, who's still riding her wave of publicity from Vicky Cristina Barcelona. A small part in Iron Man 3 failed to give her another much-needed wave, but luckily Wally Pfister, the DP who shot her in one of her very first roles, has picked her to star in his directorial debut Transcendence opposite Johnny Depp. And behind the camera is celebrated theater director John Crowley turned barely noticed film director. Is Closed Circuit worth noticing? I'm very excited to say that later this week, the very first BTT viewer will debut as a guest here on the show via a Skype interview, and he happens to be from the UK. We've already shot the interview, I'm editing it right now, but one of the things we talk about, and it's very interesting, we talk about it in depth, but the highlight is that I asked him about the fact that the UK really funds a lot of the television and film coming out of the country through the government. And I asked him the pros and cons of that. And one of the interesting points that he had, Reese is his name, he said that because it's all funded by the government and they have to approve what they fund, you get a kind of sameness to the content that's coming out of the country. And when I watched Closed Circuit, that's what I thought of, because it seems very much like another BBC miniseries. And there's nothing wrong with that. I love BBC miniseries. Most of America loves BBC miniseries. They have a real reputation for quality. However, when you're watching a Closed Circuit, a movie like this, I think there is some regret that they didn't think bigger because it is a movie. You have presumably a bigger budget, so I think you can go a little bigger. I mean, this would be totally at home on your television. The acting is good, though. Bana, I liked him in this kind of role. I liked him with his gray sideburns. He was very Reed Richards. I know he had a bad comic book situation before with the Hulk. I mean, he claims that he's happy with the film, but he was good here. I liked him. In the opening, I compared him to Cary Grant and Gregory Peck, trying to go that route, and he was very Gregory Peck-like. Rebecca Hall was good as well. The only fault with their characters doesn't come from them. It's from the fact that the script doesn't have much of a B storyline. It's highly intently focused on its A storyline, so there really is never any chance for the characters to develop. A lot of important elements actually about Bana and Rebecca Hall's relationship happens prior to the film, which I always feel is a mistake. Film is a visual medium, show not tell, so I think that robs the audience of the chance to connect with the two characters. But the A storyline was fascinating. It was fascinating to see another country go through a lot of the internal struggle and moral struggle that I think the United States is more well known for going through, dealing with terrorism. But at the same time, it was a little hard to follow because I just don't know the UK legal system very well. And it does have a lot of hoops to jump through and things that it was a little hard. I mean, I think the movie should have incorporated maybe a little bit of how sometimes they have clever things in American films where they walk you through something and, the character cheekily, to use a British term, tells you how things are going to go. And I think that would have helped this movie for a global audience because, I don't know. I'd be curious actually to hear in the comments if when foreign audiences watch American legal thrillers on television or film, are they hard for you to follow? So anyway, this is a good, interesting movie. It raises some interesting points. I think it gives a really accurate snapshot of London today, but I really don't know if I would recommend that it needs to be seen in theaters. So I think it's more of a rental, and I think you would very much enjoy it, though, if you enjoy BBC television, which I do. So that's my review of Closed Circuit. If you've seen the film, be sure to share your thoughts down below, and I hope you'll check out some more episodes right now, including interviews with the cast and director of the film.